All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is Dre Devot. I'm a systems engineer here at Verify, and I'll be your host for today's session. Today, we're going to show you that cradle-to-grave doesn't have to be scary. And here to present that to you today is my good friend, Jim Schultens. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Trey?
Fantastic, sir. Thank you for asking. Also, everyone, don't forget our webinars are recorded and posted within 24 hours. Just head over to verify.com/webinars and find all of our latest webinars. First, we're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. Then we'll jump to a live demo where Jim is going to guide us through some of the cradle to grave. We'll leave time for Q&A, so during the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to enter them by accessing the Q&A option. After Q&A, we will award one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. Verify is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. Deployable either on-prem or a hosted cloud solution, we provide industry-leading CDR reporting and call analytics, as well as customizable dashboards, widgets, UCCX reporting, remote phone control, change management, Cisco Cube CDR, and our latest additions, Zoom and WebEx call reporting. If you have any questions about any of our features, please contact us at support@verify.com or reach out to your account manager. One more thing before we kick this off, Verify does offer an enhanced consulting service to our customers. Verify's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, report building, dashboard configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you a dedicated Verify SE to do all the heavy lifting and give you a stress-free hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us or your account manager, and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about our pricing and terms of service for our enhanced consulting services or ECS. All right, I'm gonna hand things off to Jim now. If you have any questions, don't forget to submit those in the Q&A panel, and we'll address them towards the end of the presentation. All right, over to you, Jim.
All right.
Go ahead and stop sharing, give you the ball.
All right. Let's get my right screen shared here. Be this one. How's that, Trey? Seeing that?
It's popping up. There it is. Yes, sir.
Cool. All right. Welcome to another weekly webinar. Thanks for joining us. And like Trey said, we're going to go over some cradle to grave reporting and show that it doesn't have to be too scary. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, but hopefully I'll be able to show you that it's not too scary. And if it is, you've always got us to reach out to at support@verify.com to give you a hand. So in a nutshell, cradle to grave reporting or cradle to grave is the ability to see the whole life of a call. As the name suggests, from start to finish, cradle to grave, gives you the ability to see that call as it's progressing through your call manager, or going from one extension to another via either transfers or IVR button presses, and different scenarios like that. So we are able to capture that information, and being able to see that call from the time it comes in the CUCM to the time it ends may help identify issues of, if you're getting complaints of callers complaining that they're being transferred too much, or they didn't reach the correct department. With cradle to grave reporting, you can take a look at that in more depth and see what happened to that call. Like I said, it also gives you information on phone tree or IVR stats. We get that asked a lot. If we can detect which option a caller pressed, we don't get that actual, if they press 1 or 2, but usually we can tell by which extension or which DN it goes to, and build out a report for how many times an option is pressed. Again, if you do need help with that, we'd be happy to help. One thing that is important is to make sure that we are collecting zero duration calls or processing zero duration calls. And I'll show you that in Call Manager. There's a setting for that, for where to set that. So over in administration, under system and down in service parameters, we will go over and choose our publisher first. This will have to be done on all nodes, all subscribers and the publisher. And if I go to call manager, and that should load. This is also where we turn on the CDR enabled flag. So that should be true. And this 0 duration flag should also be true. And again, that needs to be set on the publisher and any and all subscribers that you have. So I'll just go to my subscriber here and just verify it's true. The reason for that is a lot of the transfer legs are 0 duration, and to link those calls all together with that transfer leg, we do require that 0 duration data being sent over from call manager. All right. So with that, let's get into some of the cradle-to-grave reporting. First of all, how do you check or how do you enable cradle-to-grave? And that is pretty simple. I'm going to start here in the history screen. I'm not even going to put anything in. I'm just going to go to export results here, which will put me into just like if I'm building a new report. So, you've got all your options here where you can build a search set and do some grouping and get your, turn on call history details. The call history details for troubleshooting cradle to grave or call sequence is huge. You can obviously have date time origination. Sometimes we have date time connect, date time disconnect, your calling party, and all the kind of basic things there. But the ones I want to point out is originating cause code, terminating cause code, and call scenario types. These are huge. I use these all the time. The originating cause code and terminating cause code kind of tells you when, or gives you an indication of where the call ended, or if it was transferred. Call scenario types. It gives you basically what each leg of the call is. Whether it's it was answered, whether it was connected, whether it was abandoned. It's huge, and we've just recently added this as the search criteria, so it makes it easier. What we used to have to do was dig into multiple fields, mainly these cause codes, but we also had to add some maybe on behalf of codes to determine what this call scenario is. With this call scenario types, it makes it a lot easier in reports to isolate certain types of call scenarios. We've done a couple great webinars on this, so I encourage you to check those out. These bottom three I just added just for informational. This is the key to cradle to grave, the call identifier. So each call will have a global call ID, originating call leg ID, and a terminating call leg ID. And behind the scenes, when you run a report with cradle to grave, we do a lot of matching. We try and match calls with similar call IDs. So I'm not going to get into that too much, how we do that, but just, that's what we use to link these calls together, right? So I'm going to go back. Oh, one other thing, the cradle to grave, obviously that's what we're here for. Cradle to grave, this is how you enable it. Just turn that top toggle on. And these are the call IDs I was referring to. If you turn that top toggle on, it's going to go and enable all these. I very rarely, if ever, have had to turn these off. I really don't want to, so just turn that on there. And we have had some requests to be able to change this name, cradle to grave. Some of our medical field doesn't really like the term cradle to grave. So we have that ability now in newer releases to be able to change that name. So if you go into application settings under your gear icon, scroll on down here to call analytics reporting settings, and you'll see this cradle to grave label. So if I change this to complete call sequence, or you start to finish, whatever you want to do, label it other than cradle to grave. And you'll notice when I save this, and when I go back into application settings, it's also going to change what it says here. So we no longer see cradle to grave, we see complete call sequence. All right, so that's where you do that to change that name, and then it will be reflected in the reporting as well. If I go to my export results, you see the complete call sequence has changed there. All right. So now let's get into a couple. Actually, I want to show you. Let's just do the original call party. And I'm going to just choose. So in my history screen here, I'm just going to run this for one day in October. I think 16th was my day I wanted to run it for. Apply view results. So that's just basically 4 calls. Original call party had five characters. And what I can do, if I, like it was shown before, go to export results, turn on the complete call sequence now. I want details turned on, my report delivery. I'm going to do HTML. PDF would cut off some of those detail columns. So I'm going to do HTML. XLSX is fine as well. So I'm going to just run this. And you'll notice, as we get the results here. So my search set came back with my 4 calls. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you. And here are the 4 calls. So within those 4 calls, I've got 2 my related calls. When you turn on cradle to grave or complete call sequence now, this will always be your last column, even though it's not a column to choose in the details, but with cradle to grave on, it will be the last column. And it shows you if there are related calls or not. So this, what I searched for, and you'll notice down here is the cradle to grave sequence 1, sequence 2. What you're seeing is orange, in orange for Halloween, of course, is matching the search criteria that I did, which was 5 digits, anything with 5 digits. So this doesn't match because it's only got 4 digits. So this is a complete call sequence of this call, where it came to 12146, got redirected to 609, IPCC, and then transferred to 7899, which was redirected here, and then ended up at 12199. Notice this transfer leg is 0 duration. That's what I was talking about with including that, so we get to see this complete picture of this call. All right. So then I'm going to get more specific into more specific call scenario. And the one I want to highlight is, say you want to see, you've got a help desk agent or help desk agents. I'm just going to focus on one for now. That you want to know how many calls they're handling by themselves versus how many calls they may be transferring to someone else to handle. So in this particular extension I'm looking at, 0339. And I'm going to run this for the entire month of October, so current month. And get my results down here. You'll see us use the history screen a lot. It's kind of your playground to get yeah, that's what I want. I want original call party 10039. You'll notice I've got my originating cause code and terminating cause codes. A lot of these are normal call clearing. It signals the end of the call, but I do have some call splits. So I also want to focus. I forgot on this one. I just want to see inbound calls. So I'm going to change my calling party number, add that as a criteria, and starts with, and I'm going to put a series of X's. As long as it's longer than this, it should be a calling party from the outside world. I'll do my view results. That gives me 98 calls here. So what we're going to do now is export these results. And like I said before, I'm going to isolate or see how many calls are being transferred to other users. So I'm going to turn on my cradle to grave, which is already turned on. History is on. Report delivery, HTML. This should run for the current month. If you do want to save this report for future use, you can click on this and give it a name, and it'll save it so you can go back and run it again. I'm not going to save this particular one because I do have one saved already. So let's take a look at this, the results for this. again, I want to focus on how many calls are being transferred, how many calls are being handled. So take a look at this. I've got a total of 98 calls that came into 10039 from the outside. Notice the calling party is all out external numbers. And I'm going to scroll on down, to the cradle to grave results here. So got my history, gives me the cradle to grave. Again, the orange is my search set match, the 10039. So in some cases, it looks like it comes into an IPCC, gets transferred. This is a transfer leg with 0 duration, and then comes to 13039. That person talks for 15 seconds, then looks like they transferred a call to 8328. So then 8328 talks for 2 minutes and 1 second. So this is when they transferred. So they didn't handle that initial call, they transferred. I want to focus on that. And then if we scroll down here, you'll see these other ones ending at this last leg here. So 10039, 339 did handle those calls. So I want to know in my report how many calls were like this one here that did the transfer. And how many calls they handled, basically. So let's focus on how many calls they handled. Normal call clearing, so I'm going to focus on that leg there. So normal call clearing could be either in the originating cause code or terminating cause code. So let's expand on that search here. I do have a report saved for this, so I'm just going to go here, and you'll notice my search sets. This is my original search set, calls to 1000339 with the calling party number. And then what I did, I added this one, which has the same criteria, but I added originating or terminating cause code, normal call clearing. So again, same call history, same cradle to grave. So I'm going to go ahead and run this report. And I'm going to change to HTML because we do have those details we may want to look at. So great. Here is my results. And let me, oops, nope, not great, zeros. So let me rerun that report. I apologize, I didn't change the time frame there. And I wanted to do current month here. So this should come up with some values. It's taking a little bit longer to run there. There we go. So my calls to 10039, let me make this a little bit bigger for you. 10039, there's a total of 98 calls, and 87 of those were handled, calls handled by 10039. That was with the normal call clearing. So if I do scroll down to my cradle to grave, that's showing now, well, it's going to show all the calls, but you can see that we've still got this call here that we want to focus on as well. So yeah, I can do some math. I can go back up here and say 98 minus 87, there's 11. So transferred 11 calls, but I want to use that cradle to grave information that's down there to give me a number instead of trying to add it up. So I've got this report here where all I did was add a search set. And also notice, I want to point this out, calls to ones, I want this to be at the top. We sort these by alphabetical order. So, but I want to see this at the top because that's more important to me. How many calls came in? Then I want to see how many were handled. Then I want to see how many that were transferred. So a little trick here is on your search name, I just add a number 1 here because that's the first one I want to see, calls to 1000339. And then my second one, I want to see calls handled. We already covered that. That was the normal call clearing. And if we remember here, that one, using my cradle to grave, the call split. I'm going to focus on this because the call was split. And then I really don't care where it went. I'm just concerned with, did it get transferred? And the call split indicator and the cause code is a good indication of that. So that's what I added, call split. There's a couple of them in here in this cause code field. So we added that. I'm going to turn off history because I really don't care about history anymore. And I'm going to turn off cradle-to-grave because I'm doing a main search that I used cradle-to-grave, the results of cradle-to-grave history to figure out what I wanted and how I wanted it, or how I would get the results that I'm looking for. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm actually going to run this as a PDF to make it a little bit cleaner, and search time window. So it runs a little bit quicker because we don't have those details. Blow it up a little bit. So here's your summary. Calls came in, 98, 87 were handled, and 11 were transferred. So as you can see, that I use cradle-to-grave to build these search sets and isolate the calls I wanted to see and report on. All right. So I'm going to close out some of these windows here. It's getting a little messy up top. So the next scenario, I'm going to hop over to another lab, and I want to see calls coming in and where they're being transferred. I've got a group of 3 different groups. I want to see how many calls are getting transferred to each group. This can also be used for the button presses or IVR, where calls may be going when they make a selection. Similar concept here, but I don't have any examples of those in my lab, so I'm going to just focus on this for now. So in this report, I'm going to do 7190, which is my breadcrumbs here, and I'm going to pick on October 20th, I believe was the date I wanted. But I think I got to refresh the screen. It timed out on me. All right. 7190 and October 20th. We're going to pick a specific date. If you go up to the top, you can do specific date. Like that. Let's just view results here. So I've got my 42 calls, and most of these look like there's some type of transfer involved. If I scroll on down, you're going to see these 3 at the bottom. I am sorting by descended order, so these calls came in first thing in the morning, and I can tell that because I, 8:30, 8:40, 8:42. So I know my office opens at 9 o'clock, so these calls came in, and they probably went to a message saying here's our business hours. So they kind of ended there. So I may want to focus on that. How many calls are coming in before or after hours to this 7190? So I can do that. I've got a sample report here in my reports. This loads. 7190. Actually, I'm going to export these results. And similar to what I did before, I'm going to keep this as the original call party 7190. That's my search set. I'm going to name this calls to 7190. I know, very original. And then I'm also going to add another search criteria similar to what we did calls before or words. And this can be also used, I've used this quite a bit, the same situation where back to the IVR with button presses, maybe they didn't make a selection. You want to know how many people did not make a selection. They called in and they hung up without making a selection. This can be used for that as well. So if I go to my original call party, 7190, and then I'm going to add that cause code, originating or terminating cause code. Add that criteria, just looking for normal call clearing. And we can run this report. Let's make sure I've got my details on, my call sequence. I want to turn that on. And my report delivery, HTML. And we'll get that report there. So make this a little bigger for you. 42 calls came in to 7190. calls before or after hours, there was 3 of them, and that's what we saw on the history screen. So if I scroll down here, same as in the history screen, we've got all these transfers, related calls, and here's my 3 calls here. So back in here, what I'm really concerned with, besides before or after hours, is where they're going from, where they're getting transferred after they go to 7190. This one is 7134. That's happens to be my transfer leg because it's 0 duration, but that 7134 talked for 4 minutes and 7 seconds. They transferred it somewhere else, but I'm not concerned with that. I just want to know where the initial call comes into 71 or 7134. I'm going to 7151. So my groups are based on DN. So I've got the 7100 series, then I've got 7500 series. And if I scroll down a little bit more, I know I've got, because I've been over this data, 7400 series. So I want to know how many calls out coming to 7190 go to each of these groups, 71, 74, and 75. So if I go back here, I do have, for sake of time, I know we're running short on time, I do have this report pre-built. And go to 7190 webinar just to show you. I'm using my search set, which is basically the calls that did not get transferred or before or after hours calls to 7190. But then in my cradle-to-grave or complete call sequence, I have the ability to create a search set from there based on what I was seeing in my results of the cradle-to-grave. So if you go back here, remember, I'm focusing on the call that had a duration. I'm not really focusing on this. I'm focusing on this leg here, and I got to find a difference. So I could look at normal call clearing again, but if I go back up to this first example, where I want 7134 with the 4 minute, 7 second duration, that does not say normal call clearing. So I can't use that. So so what I've noticed is in the call scenario types, and this is where we're going to get into the call scenario types search criteria, I've got transfer to, and I don't have transfer to here, don't have it here, don't have it here, I do have it here, but that's not going to match my 7190 search set or 71XX search set. That's 1459, so that's not going to get counted. This one's got transfer 2 down here, so that's what I want to focus on, and transfer 2 down here. So I did go through most of these calls, and I do have a similar scenario. So that's what I'm going to use, call scenario types. That's the new search set I was mentioning. Transfer 2 calls, 71XX. I've got my 74XX, same thing, and 75XX transfer 2. So if I go ahead and run this report, I believe I'm going to do current month, this one as well, and PDF. I'm going to leave PDF because I don't have details turned on. At least I hope I don't. There's my 914 calls came in, 214 of them before or after hours for the full month. And then how many calls got transferred to each? 7,100, 7,400, and 7,500. So I've obviously, this 710 doesn't match the 914, but I've obviously got some other calls that went somewhere else. This is what I'm concerned with. One more report I want to show you. This 7100 cradle-to-grave search set, similar, but what I'm doing, I'm focusing on calls that got transferred to a specific department and were abandoned, using my call scenario types again. So either my rentals department was abandoned or my accounting that was abandoned. So if I run that real quick, I believe that was current month as well. All right, no, we're out of time, Dre. While I'm waiting for this, any questions come in?
Yeah, we did have one question, Jim. The question was on a cradle-to-grave detail, when a call is transferred, barged, etc., will it show the resource like CFB? Can we get a way to change the name that is something more user-friendly?
That sounds like a device name that they're getting CFB.
Might be,
Or,
yeah.
yeah. No, unfortunately, that's coming from Cisco from Call Manager. We can't really change that. So that's what's going to show up in the report.
Well, that was it for the
Okay.
questions, Jim.
And I did have this report come out. We'll just take a look at the results real quick here. And I had a total of 898 calls came in here, and only 2 of them were abandoned for the counting. So pretty good stats there for abandoned calls. All right, yeah, that's all I have, Dre. So if no more questions came in, I can stop sharing and let you have it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Great job, Jim. That was pretty informative there.
All right, you should have it, Dre.
All right. Yep, I'm grabbing it now, hopefully. Screen, boom. All right. Once again, thanks, Jim. Appreciate the time today with the Cradle to Grave reporting. Let's move on to our weekly $50 Amazon gift card winner. And this week's winner is Carrie Miller. Congratulations, Carrie. Your account manager will be getting a hold of you soon and get you that gift card over. Don't forget, next week we got our Verify 15.3 and what's new with Trey and Victor. Should be a good one. Always nice to see all those new features coming. So yeah, check us out next week. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.